Can you trust the Gospels? I'm about to offer you 3 straightforward lines of evidence which suggest that the 4 Gospels are actually reliable. Let's jump into it right away. First, corroboration by non-biblical documents. Besides the Gospels, there are a total of 17 non-biblical sources from the 1st and 2nd century that mention Jesus and corroborate details of his life which are mentioned in the Gospels, such as the fact that he had disciples, that he was a teacher, or that he was crucified under Pontius Pilate. This is pretty impressive if you consider the fact that in order to reconstruct the lives of most figures from the ancient past, historians can usually refer to only a handful or even just one single source. Among the 17 sources are, for example, the Roman historian Tacitus, who is considered the most important author upon whom our knowledge of Roman history is based. In his work The Annals, which has been called the pinnacle of Roman historical writing, he establishes that Jesus was crucified under Pontius Pilate. The 2nd century philosopher Celsus, in his attack against Christianity called True Doctrine, argues that Jesus was a magician and sorcerer, thus ascribing supernatural acts to him. So all in all, there are a total of about 60 facts about the life of Jesus that can be known from outside the New Testament. And what's fascinating is that a wide range of very specific details pertaining to political procedures or social norms, for example, which the Gospels mention only in passing, get corroborated by non-biblical sources. These tiny little details make for a very compelling cumulative case for the historical reliability of the biblical account, since it's very unlikely that anyone would know about them unless they were actually present at the events which they describe. Now, let's talk about archaeological discoveries. John's Gospel describes Jesus healing a man whom he met at the pool of Bethesda, located in the vicinities of Jerusalem. John specifically mentions that the pool was surrounded by 5 porticos. For a long time, there was no archaeological evidence of such a pool outside of Jerusalem, which was part of the reason why the reliability of John's Gospel was questioned. However, archaeologists have since dug out the pool and its 5 porticos, which means that John got it right. For a long time, skeptics also cast a doubt on the historicity of the Passion narrative by pointing out that there isn't any evidence that Romans ever used nails for crucifixion. It was thought that people were tied to the cross with ropes instead. What's more, the account of Jesus' burial in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea was also considered to be non-factual, since it was thought that Romans consistently left their crucifixion victims hanging on the cross to be picked apart by birds. However, in the late 1960s, a stone ossuary from the 1st century was found containing the bones of a crucifixion victim with an 11-centimeter spike still piercing his heel bones. This discovery showed not only that nails were at least sometimes used in crucifixion, but also that some victims were granted a proper burial. The third argument in favor of the reliability of the Gospel accounts is the fact that they accurately describe the geography of 1st century Palestine, mentioning a total of 26 different towns, both significant and insignificant ones. Besides that, they also talk about 13 geographical regions and a whole range of topographical features like mountains, bodies of water, or even travel routes. And it's remarkable that every single geographical detail they mention is correct. Now, imagine you were going to fabricate the story of a wandering preacher in a country you've never visited, like let's say Uzbekistan, and you didn't have the internet available. Would you be able to name, let alone describe, more than one town? Would you also be able to describe the various regions of the country, its lakes or topography? Most probably not. Thus, the fact that the 4 Gospel writers were able to do exactly that gives us good reasons to believe that their accounts are grounded in actual eyewitness testimony of people who followed Jesus as he was preaching in 1st century Palestine. These 3 arguments obviously don't establish the historicity of every single detail mentioned in the Gospels. But that shouldn't bother us, since corroboration of every single detail is a rather unreasonable standard that no ancient document is required to meet in order for it to be considered reliable. But on top of that, it's not only that the Gospels can confidently be considered reliable, but that Luke's work in particular, that is, both the Gospel that bears his name and the book of Acts, has actually served secular historians to verify important facts about the 1st century Mediterranean world. In the book of Acts alone, there are over 80 pieces of data pertaining to geography, politics, technology, and transportation described with perfect accuracy. And so it's not only that Luke's work is considered reliable, but itself serves as a reference to help reliably reconstruct history. That's why he has been called a historian of the first rank, and it's been said that this author should be placed among the very greatest of historians. Note that Luke introduces his gospel by saying that it seemed good to me also, having followed all things closely for some time past, to write an orderly account of Jesus' life. In other words, his goal was to record things as they actually happened, and even contemporary historians are telling us that we have good reasons to take him seriously. Even so, if the skeptic wants to insist that Luke, as well as Matthew, Mark, and John made up their stories about Jesus, he or she also needs to offer an actual motive or reason why they would do so. This is a thorny one when you consider that anyone in the first century who claimed that Jesus of Nazareth was not only the crucified Messiah but nothing short of God in the flesh was likely to suffer seriously, to be persecuted, or even fed to the lions in Rome. With this in mind, why would anyone make up a story in which these claims take central stage? By the way, the willingness of people like Matthew and John to suffer for what they claimed about Jesus is not only a powerful argument for the historical reliability of the Gospels, but it also makes for a very powerful case in support of the historicity of the resurrection of Jesus. If you want to find out why, check out this video over here. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.